Hello, everyone. Welcome back to C Smart Podcast with me, Cahya Khoirun Nisa. Today, we want to talk about the history of Bahasa Indonesia and how it became the national language of Indonesia. So, let's start. When was Indonesian language created? If you are curious about the origins of Indonesian language, you are about to embark on a fascinating journey through history. Let's start from the very beginning. Indonesian language, also known as Bahasa Indonesia, has its roots in ancient Malay, which dates back to around the 7th century. During this time, ancient Malay was used as a trade language in the Sriwijaya and Malayu kingdoms in Sumatra. This was necessary because people from different islands spoke various languages, and they needed a common language to communicate. As time passed, Indian influence transformed ancient Malay into Old Malay by the 7th century. This version of language was heavily influenced by Sanskrit, adapting words related to Hindu-Buddhist culture and religion, such as dosa, pahala, and surga. By the 14th century, Old Malay evolved into Classic Malay, which became the lingua franca of the Malay Empire. With the spread of Islam, Persian, and Arabic words were incorporated into the language. Later, during the European colonization period, particularly in the 16th century, Malay was influenced by European languages like Dutch, Portuguese, and English. However, the modern Indonesian language as we know it today was not formally established until much later. A significant milestone was the Sumpah Pemuda Youth Pledge in 1920, where the name Indonesian was formally adopted and the language was declared the preeminent language of Indonesia. The real turning point came in 1945, when Indonesia declared its independence from Dutch colonial rule. At this time, Indonesian was chosen as the national language to unify the diverse islands and the people of Indonesia. Although it was only spoken by about 5% of the population, it quickly gained prominence as the language of national unity. The Japanese occupation environment too also played a role in popularizing the use of Indonesian. When the Japanese prohibited the use of Dutch, Indonesian became the primary language for administration and communication. After Indonesia's independence, the language underwent further standardization in 1945. The spelling system was simplified, moving away from the Dutch spelling system. Later, in 1972, the Indonesian government refined the spelling based on the EYD, Ejaan yang disempurnakan standard, which is the modern Indonesian spelling used today. So, to answer your question, the Indonesian language was not created on a single specific date, but evolved over centuries. However, the formal adoption and standardization of the modern Indonesian language occurred in 1928 and was solidified in 1945 with Indonesia's independence. Thank you for listening to my podcast. I hope this podcast helps you understand more about the history of Bahasa Indonesia. See you in the next podcast and goodbye everyone.